Let's look at the front page of The Guardian.
Yes.
There is this really distressing photograph. It's children in Gaza reaching out, desperate for food, and the International Court of Justice has ordered now Israel to allow food into Gaza. It's very clear that civilians are suffering, if not starving. How much difference does this make, an international order like this, actually on what happens on the ground?
Yeah, this is such a tricky time because, I mean, this deal has just fallen apart, this temporary ceasefire deal. So Israel is sort of wondering what are its options right now? I mean, it feels kind of that the US is backing away from it. Is it going to be able to achieve its aim of eliminating Hamas? You just look at this and you think, well, the civilians are suffering terribly. The hostages are suffering terribly. Israel doesn't want to just let aid go into that part of Gaza because they say it could aid Hamas. That could also delay their objectives in this war. I think Hamas are just going to try and drag this out for as long as possible until pressure is put on the countries to come to some sort of ending of this conflict.
But pressure is being put on Israel now. I think the United States is very clear it is changing its mind. And when you look at the vehicles queuing at the Rafah crossing trying to get in to Gaza, and you look at the faces of these children who are starving, I don't think Israel has much further to go until the international community becomes very stern with it.
I think that's 100% correct. I think the international community is now starting to really put pressure on Israel. It certainly should, because there are, in the most awful of conflicts, whatever they are, you accept that there are always going to be civilian casualties. That is the price of war. That is an awful thing to happen. But there are far too many civilian casualties that are now taking place in Gaza, far too many Palestinians whose lives are being lost. However horrific, and it was a horrific terrorist attack that took place in Israel, we must always state that, and Hamas is a terrorist organisation, and Israel has an absolute right to defend itself and go after those people. But at the same time, the international community has an absolute responsibility to look after innocent civilians, and when there are too many lives being lost, when that aid isn't getting into the places that it needs to, and if it's being blocked by Israel and the Israeli state, then of course the international community need to step in. And that's why I think David Cameron, to be fair to him, whatever you think about David Cameron, has been more vocal, I think, than most, even some Labour politicians, to say this is the solution, this is what needs to happen.